南无大方广佛华严经，华严海会佛菩萨。南无大方广佛华严经，华严海会佛菩萨。
Homage to the Grammy's expensive Buddha's Flower Adornment Sutra and the Oceanic Flower Adornment Assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。
The unsurpassed, profound, and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of eons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and are about to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning.
正身端坐，当愿众生作菩提座，心无所着。
When sitting upright and proper, I vow that living beings will sit on the Bodhi seat and be without any attachments in their minds.
结跏趺坐，当愿众生善根坚固，得不动地。
When sitting in the full lotus posture, I vow that living beings will have solid roots and attain the ground of stillness.
听讲经时，当愿众生顺佛所说，总持不忘。
When I listen to the sutra lecture, I vow that living beings will accord with what the Buddha says and unite with and uphold it without forgetting anything.
诸佛菩萨、师父圣人、各位法师、各位善知识，今天是公元2022年7月2日，星期六。我们继续研究发菩提愿。
Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Vernal Master, Dhamma Masters, and all the knowing advisors, Amitabha. It is Saturday, July 2nd, 2022. We will continue studying how to make Bodhi vows.
我们现在先恭请法师翻译一下上一堂的最后的部分。
Okay, so we will translate the untranslated part at the end of the last lecture. So it is on the Pure Land practice. So those of you who are listening to this lecture series and wish to be born in a land of ultimate bliss, if you don't learn to make Bodhi resolve and resolve on Bodhi, then I believe that when you cultivate, you still don't have sufficient faith, because the cultivation you have in your ordinary times does not have any kind of Dharma bliss. It means that the Dharma cannot enter into your heart because you didn't resolve on Bodhi, you didn't make Bodhi vows. So in row 78 of the Avatamsaka Sutra, Maitreya Bodhisattva told you Sudana, the reason why you have this accomplishment today is because you have resolved upon Bodhi. So you already resolved upon Bodhi at Manjushri's place, at Manjushri Bodhisattvas, because he taught you, that's why he taught you to visit so many good knowing advisors. And now you are visiting me as a spiritual teacher, for me as a spiritual teacher, and the fact that you can break through the 42 grades of ignorance, one grade by the other, all the way to the point that you are a bodhisattva of equal enlightenment. It's all because you resolve on Bodhi. This Bodhi resolve had enabled you to have this kind of accomplishment, achievement in your practice. So if you want to become a Buddha, you cannot really ignore making Bodhi resolve. You cannot ignore learning how to resolve on Bodhi. So how do we cultivate profound, deep faith? How do we make these vows? You must believe in, what do you need to believe in? You need to know 6 kinds of faith. 6 kinds of faith refers, this is from the Essentials explanation of Amitabha Sutra. So faith refers to faith in oneself, faith in others, faith in the cause and effect, faith in the specifics, and faith in the principles. So what about our vows? You say you want to go to the Pure Land. Then how can you make sure that you can achieve your goal? How can you make sure you can be born in a Pure Land? So here it says that feeling vows. Okay, so that's the faith, and it also means vows refers to being disenchanted by the Saha world and wishing to leave it. At the same time, joyfully seeking rebirth in the land of ultimate bliss. So, and then practice refers to if we cultivate according to Amitabha Sutra's method, then we single-mindedly uphold the Buddha's name with one heart and confused. So, if you can have faith such as this, next slide. If you can have faith such as this, then we understand that the defilement of the Saha world comes from our own mind. And since the state of mind is defiled, it stands to reason that we should be disenchanted by it and leave it behind. So the purity of the land of ultimate bliss also comes from our minds. Since the state of mind is pure, it stands to reason that we should joyfully seeking it. So having said that, if it means that those with profound faith have to understand the principle and specifics, both of them. Great Master O.E. had explained that the Saha world is defilement that comes from our mind. And since it comes from our mind, we need to eliminate it, eliminate this defiled mind. If you cannot do that, you will still return to the Saha world to transmigrate on the sixth path. So it is our own defilement, it's the defilement of the mind that causes us to suffer. So we must deeply believe in the principles and the specifics. And then you need to also understand that why you want to go to the Pure Land. Why don't we just cultivate here, staying in the Saha world and cultivate here? Because land of ultimate bliss comes from the purity of our own inherent nature too. And since the Pure Land also comes from our own mind, of course, that's where you want to go. You want to feel disenchanted with the Saha world and joyfully seeking rebirth in the Pure Land. So in ordinary times, you should really work hard on your mind ground. So how do you show that you're working hard on your mind? Then you should let go of all kinds of greed, anger, and delusion in your mind, wrong views, afflictions. You cannot just say, oh, when I encounter states, I can't really deal with this, I can't stand it, therefore I'm going to just get angry. If that is your reaction to the states, if that's your attitude in how to handle states, then you aren't really willing to let go of your anger. You are still willing to stay here. If you are not willing to let go of your anger, then it means that you're still willing to stay in the Saha world. You will still have to come back to transmigrate. Because greed, anger, delusion is the cause of falling into the three evil paths. So if you want to be born in the Pure Land, you have to let go of your greed, anger, and delusion. If you cannot, then you can ask the Buddha to help or ask Shifu to help. Shifu, please help me. I really want to let go of my greed, anger, and delusion, but I can't really quite get there yet. Please help me. Then he'll help you to let go. A Venerable Master said that if you have afflictions, you can donate, quote unquote, donate your afflictions to me or give your afflictions to me. I'll take them for you. Because, and then you say, I no longer want to have greed, anger, and delusion. Please help me. Then he will help you. Because Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have always want to help us grow in our spiritual practice. Then if you have this wish to let go, they will certainly help you. So in the Avatamsaka Sutra, Bodhi vows is the pure side of making Bodhi vows is the pure side of our inherent nature, and we should make these vows. The more we make them, the more we will joyfully seek rebirth in the Pure Land, the more joyful we would like to make these Bodhi vows. So you see row 78, it is really talking about this, because the Bodhi resolve can really transform our afflictions, heal our afflictions, heal our hurted feelings. You should let go of your suffering, afflictions, sickness, let go of them all. If you want to do that, then the only thing that can save you is making Bodhi vows. So if we want to be happy in our cultivation in the Saha world, then the only way is to make Bodhi vows. If you don't make Bodhi vows, then you will not truly be happy. Because when you encounter something that goes against your self-love or your self-attachment, then you will be very, very afflicted. Your afflictions will be very gigantic. But if you make Bodhi vows, then when you encounter favorable states, you can make Bodhi vows. When I encounter favorable states, I vow that living beings, blah, blah, blah. Then you can go ahead and make your Bodhi vows. Or when you encounter adverse states, you can say, when I encounter adverse states, I vow that living beings and blah, blah, blah. Then that's just that easy. It's just that simple. So become disenchanted by defilement, we should totally relinquish it. Only then will there be nothing left to relinquish. Delighting in purity, then we should completely embrace it. Then only then will there be nothing left to embrace. So it means that if we want to let go of our affliction, we have to let go to a point that we have no more afflictions. When you have no more afflictions, you don't have to let go of anything. So that is the pure Dharma that we delight in seeking, and we delight in embracing. And all the pure Dharma, if we embrace to a point that we have learned them all, then there is really nothing more for us to embrace. Then but for now, since we are not there yet, we're not quite there yet, we still have to, practicing letting go and embracing, or we have to practicing relinquishing and embracing. So whatever we have to relinquish, whatever we have to let go, we should just let go. Whatever we need to learn, whatever we need to embrace, we should just embrace. And so Bodhi resolve, making Bodhi vows, then we should go ahead and do it. If you aren't quite there yet, then you ask for help. You ask the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to help you.
我上一堂讲得特别快哦，不晓得大家有没有消化 ？Can you translate?
Because we kind of spoke pretty fast at the end of the last lecture, I don't know if people have digested what I said.
因为上一堂真的对修净土来说真的特别重要，很多人就以为说真信切愿求生西方，就是最好的。但是问题，你有没有真信切愿，你却不自知。这样的话，你以为你有真信切愿，但是在生活当中处处显示你并没有信愿，这样你往生是有问题的。想要往生是不确定的。
Okay,不确定。So, in the last class, this particular point is very important. You want to have true faith. You want to have earnest vows, and those of us who cultivate Pure Land Dhammador think that we have true faith and earnest vows, but we don't, and we are not aware of it. You think you have it, but in everyday life, everywhere, it shows that we don't have true faith, we don't have earnest vows. And that means that we're going to have problems when it comes for rebirth, because you aren't really sure.
已经上了20堂了，我们只剩1堂了哈。想问各位，听了那么多堂了，你们有没有开始每天尽量发愿呢？有的请举手。
We have
举高一点。
20 lectures so far, and I want to ask you.
没有举手就是还没有发，到现在还没有发愿呢、遇到境界还没有想到要发愿呢、
Online 有的法师每天发。
我没有。
In the chat box.
OK 好。Translate 一定啊。因为这一堂这个发菩提愿的课都是在介绍说发菩提愿的重要性，跟如何发菩提愿，然后发菩提愿的人必须要连魔都要摄受他，都要给他带他修行，然后带他发愿，有没有？所以你们听了说，梁皇忏也这么说，经典也这么说，是否你已经能够信受奉行？这个是我想问的。
Okay, so making Bodhi vows is really important, and we talk about how to make Bodhi vows, and to a point that even we want to gather in the demons and make Bodhi vows on their behalf. So the Liaohuang repentance talked about this. All the sutras talked about it. Can you really believe it, receive it, and put it into practice? This is what I want to know. I want to ask you.
因为如果你们听了那么多堂还没有发起要心静的心哈，这里讲心静，很喜欢要修清净法，而且只要是清净法、菩萨法，我一定要学。我做不到，我求佛让我做得到。也顺便呢，因为我的做不到呢，我顺便发愿求我及众生都能做得到。你是否这种心你发得出来吗？我意思是在这里，你肯发这样子的心，这样的心不难发，你懂吗？你已经知道什么是菩萨法，然后你遇到境界你做不到，你要回光返照，我又做不到，那你是否可以善用其心？因为你做不到的关系，你对佛求愿，说佛啊，这样的境界我都做不到了，可见我的习气多重啊！佛，你要慈悲救我啊！也要救一切做不到的众生啊，让他们有定力、有智慧、有戒定慧的力量，遇到境界懂得记得发愿，善用其心来发大愿给一切众生，而不再像以前那样总落入烦恼。你是否可以跟佛去沟通这样子的？因为你的失败，你向佛求愿、忏悔，也希望一切众生像我那样子的没功夫的人都很快具备功夫，而且这一种呢，遇到境界能够善用其心的功夫，也愿我们一天比一天进步，一天比一天有这个戒定慧的力量，发菩提愿的力量。你可以这样子去求佛菩萨，你们觉得这样子做会很难吗？还是说我知道很好，但我就想不起，我也没时间去反省，也没时间去说让我更好。可是你知道我们时日无多啊，我们一天一天老，我们还有多少时间可以修行啊？如果现在闻到这么好的法，还不赶快像上人那样听到什么法，看到什么经都是我一定要跟他合而为一，他才去学那部经。那你既然听的是华严大法这些发菩提愿的法，你就是要跟他合而为一的心去学，那才会变成你的。要不然的话呢，就会成为众远因。什么叫众远因呢？也是好，没有白听的你们听了将来一定会成佛，因为每一字每一句的那些华严经啊、法华经的经呢，都是有诸佛护持的，都是可以帮到大家。因为听了佛经，尤其是经中之王的经文的关系，你将来注定成佛。不过这个叫众远因，不知道哪一个结束之后你才会做得到，乃至于成佛。你愿意等这么慢才成就，还是你愿意呢？相信什么呢？相信你的自信本来具足圆满，相信佛的力量，信他力一直盼望我们长大，一直愿意帮助我们成长。你是否懂得？因为你本来就具足，但你现在很糟糕，那你可否懂得靠他力呢？求佛让我及众生都能做得到，具足这些白净法。 都能在娑婆世界修行，虽然功夫低，也希望佛光普照，让我们都能够一天比一天进步，一天比一天能够受大乘法乐。如果你懂得这样子去求佛加持跟护念的话，你就不是种原因了，你就种静因。就是说你现在一学要这样做好，我抄下来，我做不到，我天天发愿，天天发愿，天天发久了，力量就来了，你就可以原来我现在觉得这个都是很好的境界，要感恩一切众生成就我的道心，让我越来越进步。你还会知见众生的功德，你会改变你的思想，你再也没有仇人，没有敌人，你的身边的人都是未来佛，你会变成有这样的想法。这样的话你就活得很清净很快乐了咯，因为你身边的人都是清净大海中菩萨。我讲的这个呢，其实是在净土法门里面有特别讲到的。如果你去看那个宝王三昧念佛直指这一本书，他有说到我给你 translate。 等一下我要讲这个宝王三昧念佛直指。对，怕我等一下忘记。
对。Okay, so now you have listened to so many classes. Do you have this mindset of delighting in purity? Because do you like to cultivate pure dharma? Do you delight in purity? Do you have this kind of attitude? As long as there are bodhisattvas dharma, I want to learn. If you cannot do it, if you aren't quite there, then you ask bodhisattvas to help you. So I want to know, when you encounter states, can you bring forth this kind of resolve, this kind of mind? Can you remember? This is bodhisattva's dharma. I can't really do it. Or do you not have time? Do you not have time to return the light to reflect within? Or could you actually skillfully use your mind? You think, I'm not quite there. Therefore, I want to get there. Therefore, I ask bodhisattvas to help. May bodhisattvas bless me, and all living beings who have this problem, who aren't quite there yet, who have precept, samadhi, and wisdom. Please help me and save me. So when you can make this kind of great vows to also save living beings, because of your failure, because you aren't able to do it, then you ask the bodhisattvas, the Buddhas and bodhisattvas to help. People who are like me, who have no skills in their cultivation, please also save them too. And then when you make these vows, you will improve day by day. And the power from your precept, samadhi, and wisdom will also increase. So you can actually seek help from the Buddhas and the bodhisattvas. Is it very hard to do? It's not very hard to do, actually. Or do you have the mindset or attitude, I know the Dharma is really good, but when the state comes, I can't really remember. Or you have no time to reflect upon yourself, reflect on what happened throughout the day. Don't you not have time to remember? Because you need to know that we don't really have much time left. And why don't we quickly learn to be like Venerable Master, that when we hear a Dharma or listen to a sutra, study a text, then I vow that I will become one with the sutra text, meaning that I will put the principles I have heard into practice to make this vow. So now we are learning, we're studying how to make Bodhi vows. Then you can also make this vow that I want to become one with making Bodhi vows. If you cannot do it, and if you aren't able to do it yet, you just listen and you're very happy, you copy it down, but you can't really remember when the state comes, then you are just planting a distant cause. What is the distant cause? Because every character of the Avatamsaka Sutra and the Lotus Sutra are protected and supported by Buddhas, because they are king of the sutras and the king of the kings of the sutras. When you hear the text, you will certainly become a Buddha in the future, but it's a distant cause. You will become a Buddha, but a long time after. sometime in the far future. Do you want to wait so long to become a Buddha, or are you willing to believe that all these dharmas are repleted within your inherent nature? They are perfect in your inherent nature, that you are willing to start making these vows. Or do you know to seek help from the Buddhas and said, I know that living beings and I all are repleted with this kind of pure dharma, but we can all do this. Please, may the Buddha's light shine on me. May I improve every day, more and more, day by day. If you know to seek the Buddha's blessings and their help, then you will certainly improve. Or do you just, when you listen, you copy it down, oh, this is really wonderful, and then you can make these vows every day. When you make these vows every day, then the strength of these vows will manifest, will show when the state comes. Then when something happens to you, you will be grateful to all the living beings who are giving you problems or troubles, because you will regard them as people who give you accomplishments. They are helping you to improve your cultivations. Then you'll be very grateful that these are the people who help you. Then if you live in this kind of mentality, then you no longer have enemies, because everyone is a future Buddha. Everyone is somebody who will help you accomplish Buddhahood. They are just pure sea great assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And then 宝王三昧论。
Yeah. 我想到很多年前呢，我没有看整部的那个《宝王三昧念佛直指》这本书，我只是刚好看到一小段罢了。就是净度十要偶益大师说，研究净度法门的人呢，可以好好的详读净度十要嘛。其中以第一要就是弥陀要解。其中有一要呢，就是这个宝王三昧念佛直指，他教你怎么修念佛三昧的。
Okay, and then so quite some time ago, many years ago, I had read the direct instructions from the Buddha the jewel kings of Buddha recitation Samadhi. This is one of the 10 essential texts appointed by Great Master O.E. He said, those of you who are studying the Pure Land, practicing Pure Land, you should study the essential explanation of Amitabha Sutra. And this is one of them, the direct instructions on the Jewel King of Buddha recitation Samadhi. It's one of the texts.
在这个宝王三昧念佛直指里面有的第17章他有教我们要修10大爱恨。
So in this particular text, chapter 17, it teaches us the 10 great practices of obstruction.
他就告诉你说你要很喜欢障碍，你不要讨厌障碍。他特别叫你要去安住于障碍，就欢迎障碍，障碍是好事，是帮助你进步的。他特别这样，所以叫10大爱恨。一念身不求无病他说呢，你对于你的身体你不求无病，有病才是好事，无病反而会让你放逸他有这么说，他讲解你，给你知道说，念身不求无病，就第一个大爱恨，就是安住在10大爱恨的第一个，就是对于你的色身，你不求你没有病苦，真是难行的苦恨这是。要修念佛三昧的人都要有那个心理的很强大的心来去面对一切的障碍，而不是害怕障碍不愿面对障碍。他说修念佛三昧的人，第一你要念身不求无病。我可以给你们看，他说为什么要这样呢
Okay, so this really tells us that this particular chapter tells us that you should like obstructions. You should welcome obstructions. Obstructions are actually good things if you are one who wants to practice Buddha recitation Samadhi. Let's see, number 1, it says, as with matters of the body, as not to be free from illness. It teaches you to peacefully dwell in your obstructions. So those of people who are reciting the Buddha's name, if we practice this way, then we will have a really strong mindset to face obstructions, to deal with obstructions. Here it says, with the matters of the body, as not to be free from illness.
他说为什么呢
Why so?
他说这10种大爱之恨摄一切诸爱，他给你10种大爱，就包括一切的障碍。也就是说，当你这10大爱你能接受了，那一切的障碍发生在你的生命当中，你都没有问题了，无障碍。因为你接受障碍，就变成不是障碍了。
Okay, so it said these 10 types of practice of obstruction encompass all manners, all kinds of obstructions. And if you can handle obstructions, if you can pass through obstructions, then these obstructions are no longer obstructions.
他说：“为上智者堪任，中下之人不敢希冀。”
It says only those who have superior wisdom are willing to take them on. Those of moderate or inferior wisdom will shy away from aspiring after such practice.
他说：“若有得闻此10句义，于诸爱中，一一皆能照察觉悟，醒身体道，持之不失，则能入诸魔界，不为群魔退转其心，寻诸色身，不为色身惑乱其志，乃至增爱名利之境，人我得失之场。我心先居爱中，彼爱岂能为爱？”多好哈！我们英文直接读就好了。
Okay, if one hears of the meanings of these 10 phrases in the midst of all manners of obstructions, one will be able to observe, contemplate, and become enlightened, reflect upon oneself, and comprehend the Buddha's way without retreating. One will then be able to enter all demonic state, and yet one's mind will not be turned by the host of demons. In the pursuit of all manners of sights and sounds, one's determination upon the way will not be deluded. Even up to states of hate and love, fame and fortune, the battlefields of self and others, gain and losses, my mind has dwelt in the obstructions beforehand, so how then is the obstruction able to hinder me?
他说：“爱若无爱，则于道行尚可直进。”
When the obstruction ceases to be a hindrance, then one can proceed and have unhindered progress in the way.
所以只要我们接受障碍那一切障碍发生就不是你的障碍了，因为你早就可以让它发生嘛。然后这样的话，任何障碍出现了，你的道行还是可以直接一路进步，而不会退转。
Okay, so as long as you can receive these obstructions, then you just let it happen. So when any obstructions come out, appears, then it will not be obstruction, and your practice will only advance without retreating. You can only progress.
他说：“何况得于自然无碍之境，道岂不可尽哉？”
And then it goes, what more in states which are naturally unhindered? Would it not be easier to achieve progress then?
就是说，当你可以接受障碍，那如果你平时没有什么障碍的话，你一定活得很快乐，你更加能够呢，进步神速，对吗？
Okay, so when you have obstructions, you're happy. Then when let alone having no obstructions, then you will even be happier, and your progress in your cultivation will even advance faster.
譬如高崖之木，虽久旱如焚，尚不改其秀色，何况在泽旁瞻，而又加于山村之令，岂不夫荣冒失者乎？
Said, as an analogy, trees growing on mountain tops have to endure long periods of drought, yet the challenge does not affect their seemingly beauty. What more, when torrential rains quench their thirst and the warmth of the spring smiles upon them, will it not flourish under the circumstance?
这是拿植物来譬喻哦，植物就是有那一种的耐力，可以呢忍受久旱如焚，它还是不死啊，然后何况呢是有就是风调雨顺，那个树木呢就更加荣盛好看了。
Okay, and so here we use a plant to make this analogy because plants, these tall trees are really resilient. It could endure drought and not die, let alone torrential rain quench their thirst. Of course, the trees will grow more beautifully.
又如根缺之人运用虽坚，而于求实之际有不胜之巧。若以求得之计移之于求道，岂在爱不能行道乎？
The same way individuals with physical challenges face a functional difficulty, yet for the sake of survival, they will somehow find a way to compensate and overcome those difficulties. If such survival instincts can be employed to seek the way, then physical impediment will no longer pause as obstructions in practicing the way.
你们有没有看过网络上有一个没手也没脚的人吗？他可以踢足球的，没看过吗？他像踢球，对，他还是一样可以。
This person, he is without hands, without feet, but he can play soccer.
他还是这样子活得那么快乐，就是说为了生活跟缺的人呢，他一样可以，或者忙着他一样要会过日子的，他还是可以在苦难当中，他还是可以，为了求实之计，他都有一个很巧妙的一种本领来让他活下去。那就是看有根缺的人都可以这样子做。如果这一种为了生活而能够呢，处在这种不圆满的的身心方面呢，他都有办法为了活而努力。那如果以这一种求活的心来求道的话呢，障碍当中是不可能不能行道的。
Okay, so you see, he's still living his life so happily. Or we see examples of blind people. In order to survive, they have their skills. They find ways to survive, and they can live happily. If disabled people are able to do this, and because their faculties are not perfect, and in order to survive, they find a way to compensate, to overcome these difficulties, and then live so happily. So let alone those of us who have perfect faculties, and if we could use this kind of mindset to seek the way, then we can certainly draw in obstructions without obstructions.
这个很重要。当知此爱即是一切众生大善之事，大家都要找善知识来开导。谁是善知识呢？一切给你障碍的人就是你的大善知识。
Okay, so you should know that obstructions are in fact the greatest good knowing advisors of all living beings. We all say we want to seek for good knowing advisors. We want to have good spiritual teachers. So who are your good spiritual teachers? Anyone who give you obstructions are your great spiritual teachers.
也是大障碍的境界，也是一切众生的良佑福田。它可以帮助你怎么样了生脱死，可以让你超凡入圣。
So they are the fields of blessings of all living beings, which lead to liberation from birth and death, and the tool by which one transcends the mundane and enter into the realm of sages.
他说：“于诸世间所有美味上福、金刚珠玉，一切众宝所不能及。”
So it says the various delicate, luxurious apparel, gold, bronze, pearls, jade, and all sorts of treasures of the world are indeed incomparable.
每个人呢，活在人间，尤其是还没有出家的人哈，学佛的没出家的人哈，或者世间不学佛的人，大家活着，很多人都还是想要追求美味上福哈，金刚注意一切众宝，追求世间的乐嘛。但是你追求这些乐呢，都不如每天在生活当中会遇到的种种障碍，对你更有好处。刚才说种种障碍是你的福田，让你得到福报的就是障碍，让你可以了生脱死的也是障碍，让你可以超分入圣也是障碍。所以障碍呢，是你的大善知识，是让你做圣人的真正的老师，也是给你福报的人。所以他说，他的功德，障碍的功德远超世间的种种你所追求的所谓的人间的乐。
Okay, so we live in this world, those of us who have not left the home life, we all live in this world seeking for various delicacies, luxurious apparels, gold, bronze, pearls, jade, all sorts of treasures in the world. So this is what we chase after, and the happiness we're looking forward to. But it's not as good as encountering obstructions in your everyday life, because when you encounter obstructions and know how to handle them, then these obstructions are just like a field of blessings. Obstructions are fields of blessings for all living beings. It could lead you to liberate from birth and death, and it could even help you transcend the mundane and enter the realm of sages. So obstructions could actually be the teachers of how to become a sage. They transcend the happiness, the worldly happiness.
就像我们很多人学佛啊，求菩萨，菩萨你加持我了，我很笨哦，很愚痴哦，你让我开智慧吧，你让我有定力吧，有持戒的功夫吧，你求啊求啊，然后菩萨呢，他真的会满你的愿，他就是让你有很多障碍来成长你的戒定慧，就是变成说这些你所遇到的障碍，其实就是观世音菩萨显现给你，让你可以得到那种真正的定力嘛，哈。但是你就是对面不是观世音，意思就是这样。所谓对面不是观世音，观世音去哪里找？就每天你做的事情都是障碍的事，就是观世音菩萨显现，他要让你有真正的定力的一些境界，他就是真正的尽那些大障碍，就是大善知识，而且不求，有时候是不求自得哦。就你不用求，你的人生当中就很多障碍。其实这些障碍全部是让你做圣人的障碍啊，都是好的，不要怕，也不要讨厌哦。这个就是祖师在这样告诉我们，障碍的真实意义，不是用凡夫之见来定义它，以为是苦是讨厌的，不是的。如果你觉得讨厌，你排斥，那你用凡夫之见来看，你用我爱来看，你不是站在要成佛的菩提心来看，以想要成佛的菩提心，绝对呢不会排斥的，它顺利皆无碍。
Okay, so lots of people ask the bodhisattvas to bless them. Oh, let me have samadhi power. Let me have skills in cultivation, and I want to improve. And the bodhisattvas will certainly fulfill your vows. How do they fulfill your vows? They give you a whole bunch of obstructions, so that you can handle the states, you can pass through the states with a samadhi. So you will develop samadhi from these obstructions. So every day, if you are working with things that have lots of obstructions, that means that Guanyin Bodhisattva would just want to help you to grow your samadhi. A lot of times the obstructions come uninvited. Some people's lives are full of obstructions. Lots of them, you don't have to ask for it, and they come uninvited. You should not. You don't have to hate them, because the patriarchs tells you that obstructions are a good thing. They tell you that it can lead you to operation. But if we use our ordinary people's knowledge and views to look at these obstructions, then then, okay, so if we use ordinary people's knowledge and views to look at these obstructions, then they are obstructions. But if you look through the lenses of Bodhi resolve and look through the lenses of wanting to become a Buddha, then you will not oppose to these obstructions or the states. Because whether it's favorable states or unfavorable states, you would have you will not feel hindered in these states.
是故，若非以爱为道，则以非爱反成为爱。
And so hence, if one fails to adopt obstructions as the way, then in the absence of obstructions, one will definitely be hindered. Why is that so?
所以就是说呢，我们如果很怕面对障碍，修了20年哦，如果你学佛从你在家人一直修到你出家了哈，或者从学佛到现在还是在家人都好，超过20年的人，如果你还怕障碍，不喜欢人家做出来的行为是给你麻烦的话，你还有这种畏惧跟排斥感，那表示呢，你在修这个大乘法，你还是属于小学班，你没有到中学，更不用说大学了。你看我们在人间读书哦，我们都会每年都会进步嘛哈，小1、小2、小3、小4，一直小6，对吗？然后就中1、中2、中3，高1、高2、高3，然后就大学，大家都会每年都求进步。那为什么我们修道的菩提心不能每年进步呢？为什么要让我见我爱一直伴随着我们的修持，然后让我们一直修来修去，没有人惹你你就开心，有人惹你你又起烦恼，有障碍来你又不开心，为什么总要落入这种那么容易呢？看一切境界就像凡夫看境界这样，对就是对，错就是错，障碍就是障碍，却不知道原来祖师说障碍那个是好事，那是给你转凡成圣的。你就不信祖师所说，上人所说，你就信你自己，就是我就偏不喜欢这种人，怎么可以这样呢？学佛这么多年这样对待人的呢？就一直很愤愤不平，身边的学佛人、修行人这么糟糕，这样子诽谤我，这样子讲是非，这样子令我背黑锅，就每天活在很抱怨的心态下，20年了还是抱怨的话，那真的你不是中学也不是大学，为什么20年了还没有到大学去？所以大家，我们真的是时日无多，我们要变大学生，哦，所以我们这个课程呢是大学班的课，就是所有学佛者到了大学了，就是要自立，要能够有能耐来接受跟佛菩萨一样的智慧，去信、去了解、去行。然后，当然我们根性没那么好，我们一边行一边一定要有诸佛菩萨来护持我们的，我们就多多的对他们发愿嘛，就会常常跟佛啊，你让我跟一切众生常常都能够跟佛一样，都能够住在佛菩萨的频道上，不要住在凡夫的这种心境上。你也可以这样求啊，佛一定让你很快，想法、做法都会比较像佛菩萨了。
Okay, so if we are afraid of facing obstructions, whether we are monastic or not, let's say you're a lay person, from a lay person to be a monastic and you're cultivating for 20 years, if you're still afraid of obstructions and whatever behaviors people have, however they act, you are afraid that they will give you obstructions, they will give you trouble, that means you're still in the elementary school. Because when we study in the world, every year we will improve, that you go from elementary school, first grade, second grade, and then you go to a junior high, then you go to high school. So every year we advance in school. But what about our cultivation? Does it advance every year? Or is it after 20 years, you still let your own view and your own attachment follow you in your cultivation? If no one irritates you, then you're very happy. If someone irritates you, then you're very unhappy. If someone's doing this, then you're happy. Someone doing that, you're not very happy. We always use our ordinary person's conscious mind to see all kinds of states, to interpret these states. But the patriarch tells you that obstructions are actually good. Obstructions help you improve. So we have learned the Buddha Dharma for so many years. When we encounter states, why do we still complain about people? Oh, why are these people still gossiping about me? Why are these people still wrongly accuse me? Why these people are saying these things about me? We always complain other people's wrongdoing on me. So if you have cultivated for 20 years, how come you are still not in a university yet? So we want to go to college in terms of our practice too. Only when we go to college, then we will have the capacity, the ability to deal with these kind of states. Then we will have Bodhisattva's wisdom in our practice. We are not very great, so as we cultivate, we don't have the type of wisdom or samadhi, but we can ask Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to help us. You can say, oh, Buddha, please help me and all living beings so that we can all live in Buddha's and Bodhisattvas channel. I don't really want to dwell in the state of mind of an ordinary person. And you can seek the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to help you. They will certainly help you and you will improve.
然后这个很重要咯，就是如果你把障碍当作是道，是一种修道，面对障碍就是在修道了，不是你不要去把那个障碍变成是你怕的东西，你把它当作现在障碍来了，又是给我修道了。你肯这样的话障碍来就不是你的障碍了，然后就不是障碍，而且如果你不能这么样做的话呢，则以非爱反成为爱，就是说，假如你不能够接受障碍的话呢，如果没有障碍的时候它会变成你的障碍来，很奇怪为什么这样呢？如果一个人呢，就是不能够接受障碍的话，当做它是一种修道的一种境界的话，那么呢，你这个人就会是一种呢。喜欢处在没有障碍的境界。可是当你是这样的心态的话，一切没有障碍的境界的你就是变成障碍你修道的你了。
Okay, so we should treat obstructions as a way to practice, as a way to cultivate. Don't treat obstructions as a hindrance. You treat it like a cultivation, a method of cultivation. So if you cannot do so, if you say, I cannot accept obstructions, I cannot accept any hindrance, then this attitude, if you cannot treat your obstruction as a kind of cultivation, then you have zero tolerance in facing obstructions, and you become a person who like to be in non-obstruction state. And when you like to be in this non-obstruction state, and this very particular mentality will obstruct you in your cultivation.
就是他说非爱反而为爱嘛你业力一直非爱，可是其实在修道来讲是一个大障碍，因为你不喜欢有，譬如说身嘛身体不求，他说念身不求无病嘛然后当你是这样的求法的话，那你的身体如果一直处在无病呢，你一定是会贪欲重生了，你一定起很多贪欲，因为我们有一个憎就会有一个爱嘛你憎身体有病，那你就是爱身体什么无病，那你爱身体无病呢？为什么爱身体无病的时候呢？你会用你的这个无病的身体呢，不是修道了，多数人是拿来追求爱欲的，贪欲重生了。
Okay, so it means that if you like non-obstructions, and this non-obstruction will become an obstruction, in cultivating the way. So this here it shows why. It says being free from the physical illness, one tends to be greedy and desirous. So when we seek to be free of illness, and if we are not sick at all without illness, then our greed and desires will increase. Because when you have dislikes, they will be likes. If you like the body to be free of illness, when the body is healthy, then your body will seek after greed and desires.
时间到了，就是我本来要讲的那个 point 没有讲到，等最后下个礼拜3有时间再说吧。
Okay, so time is up. We will talk more next Wednesday.
下个星期最后一堂啊。
And we have last class next Wednesday.
是功德庄严佛净土，上报是重恩，下济三